comes to talk. We'll be on the air shortly, and of course, what I'm going to lead with on the show today is this incredible, spontaneous New York City rally that President Trump had in Harlem yesterday, which was just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen so far as a Trump rally goes. It was totally it was like a pop-up rally, really is what it was. And they are pissed about it, believe me. They can't handle it. And those kids in Harlem say, we love Trump, we love Trump. So that's what I'm going to start with today. And we'll also be taking your calls. You know, these people in the Uniparty, they just can't they just can't give up. They're so pissed that the American people love Trump so much they can't see straight. So here we go. Let's see. We'll be on the air in 30 seconds. All right. Here we go.
And his co-host Blaine Adams, RBL, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. right here on the True Oldie Show. On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
It sure is. Welcome to the program, everyone. It is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 47 years on the radio. Think about this. We're celebrating 47 years on the radio, the same year we're electing Trump, the 47th President of the United States. Welcome. We have a lot to cover. Did you guys catch the Trump pop-up rally in New York City yesterday? The Harlem Trump rally? I like that. The only thing missing was the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, this was absolutely amazing. We're going to go through what happened yesterday in New York, which was beautiful, spectacular, and historic. And let me just play this audio. So Trump goes to Harlem after he leaves the courtroom of this corrupt judge, who's probably on the take, and all these other things. He goes to Harlem, and there's kids there. Harlem kids. Listen.
I love you, Trump. I love you, Trump. I love you, Trump. We love 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 Trump. We love.
Oh, man, I would love to have been in the room when Joy Reid saw that. You know, a lot of people will say, why can't they just accept that the people love him, Donald Trump? This is the deal, and you have to understand this, okay? Donald Trump, this is my, not just opinion, I mean, this is my, what I believe to be a factual statement. President Trump is the only president of the United States who was not forced upon the American people by the political establishment of the day. And what I mean by that is this. All these presidents are recruited and groomed at a young age. Some of them are born into it and inherit it, like George W. Bush. Others, like H.W. Bush, are born into it as well because his daddy was in politics, and then he had his CIA, FBI, deep state career, ambassador to China, all that stuff, and then he walks into it. Some are recruited when they're young and groomed their entire life, like Barack Obama. And the way that our system works, with the primary system, we have, two major parties, which have changed from time to time over the couple of centuries, but we have this nominating process through the primary system, and then we have the conventions. And the convention is the electors, that go to the convention from each state are party faithful people, party establishment people, and the party chooses who our candidate will be. It's really an illusion, that we choose the candidate, before Trump, of course. The parties choose the candidate of their well-groomed preferred person. They get the nomination, and then boom. We've been divided between R and D, Republican and Democrat, forever, and you vote for who the party forces upon you. And then Trump came down the escalator, and they didn't take him serious at all. That's why they carried his rallies all the time, because it was good for ratings. And then they stopped carrying the rallies and started saying things like, these 50,000 people that are showing up 3 and 4 times a day in multiple states, they're just there to see a reality star. Nothing. And boom, the convention was coming up, and he was about to win the nomination. And what did they do? The Republican establishment started talking about a brokered convention. That fizzled out, but they were talking about a brokered convention, which used to be a kind of a normal thing, right? And yeah, exactly. And he got the nomination, and that was it. And Donald Trump is the first president of the United States to win the nomination of one of the major parties, go on to win the presidency, who wasn't forced upon us by the political establishment of the time. And when they see these kids in Harlem, in particular the kids in Harlem who are black, that are like in 5th and 6th grade, they get furious. Because, Taylor Swift, remember that tour she had? Taylor Swift, it's her world, we're just living in it. That is how the permanent Washington class view us. This is their country, we're just living in it. I've used this analogy many times. I'm going to use it again because I think it illustrates the situation. The Hunger Games, I'm a fan of the Hunger Games. I didn't read the books. I like the movies. Okay? I do. I like the Hunger Game movies. I think they're very good. But the Hunger Games is a movie about this country. Hunger Games takes place in the future United States. Everyone lives in these districts, and everyone is governed by the tyrants in the Capitol. Right? President Snow, the tyrants in the Capitol. That's what this is. We are living, prior to Trump, in the Hunger Games. This far-off Capitol with a bunch of sellouts who were sex perverts and all on the take and take bribes. Joe Biden, that's normal business up there. They run the country from these Beltway bandits. And the rest of us, we're just slaves in whatever district we live in. I'm in District Florida. All right? And they are furious. They hate the American people. They hate anyone who says we love Trump, like these kids in Harlem. And when they see what happened in Harlem yesterday at the Trump pop-up rally, remember all this talk that he was going to do a rally in New York? He had it yesterday. It was a pop-up rally in Harlem. And it was perfect and it was beautiful. We'll get into the details of it as the show goes on. But that just pisses them off more. Okay? They know what's best. Plus, they've taken all the bribe money from China, the military-industrial complex. I read an article today that Chinese companies have lobbyists, big lobbyists, military manufacturers of China have lobbyists in D.C. How is that allowed? Pretty sick, isn't it? They've made it official. They hate you, they hate me, they hate the American people. And the more love they see for President Trump, the more they put their boot on our necks. And that's the reality of it. All this talk of this poll and that poll. Biden was in Scranton yesterday. He couldn't even remember the name of the city. And, when people say places like New York are in play, that is true. The Democrats are going to have to fight for areas that they take for granted. Trump was popular in his first term, but what Trump did was raise the standard of the expectations that the American people have for elected officials. They expect results, not a bunch of fake promises and vague phrases. Don't ask what your country can do for you, and all this crap. They want $2 gas and affordable groceries and a secure border. And they want to be able to live in a city where they can go out and not be victimized by criminals who, after they commit a crime against them, are home for dinner, the criminals. And what they see from the political class of the Uniparty are corrupt public officials like Joe Biden who hate us. And what they see with Trump is a guy that's cool, that they like, who's given them results. So this pop-up Trump rally in Harlem was history in the making. When has a Republican had a welcoming like that in Harlem?
I love you, Trump! I love you, Trump! We love 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 Trump!
Yeah, it doesn't get better than that. Now, our number's toll-free no matter where you're listening. Toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And when we get back, we'll take some calls. We'll get into more of what happened at the pop-up New York City Harlem Trump rally yesterday. And, well, we have a bunch more to cover, too. Don't go anywhere.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
What would you say to them?
Oh, I love them, and they love me.
Oh, man. I mean, isn't that beautiful? The Trump Harlem, New York pop-up rally. I love it. Oh, yeah. If you're on hold, hang in there.
Business that provides services to seniors in need. If you answered yes, the Florida Department of Elder Affairs needs you. The department relies on statewide partners to help address the needs of Florida seniors. If you're interested in joining the partnership program, please call 850-414-2138. Thank you for supporting the seniors in your community. This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Association of Broadcasters at this station.
This is John from Lighthouse Medical Center, CFO and Director of Neuropathy. We want to welcome you to Lighthouse Medical Center this year. It's our 75th anniversary, and we've been able to help a lot of patients. We want to be able to help you with your neuropathy issues as well. You have numbness, burning, pain, tingling, lack of sleep, or balance issues, please come see us and let us help you with that that problem, there's hope out there for you. We've had thousands of patients come through Lighthouse Medical Center. Being able to see the quality improved in their life and being able to help them and their family has been a blessing to us and a blessing to them, and we look forward to doing that.
We're coming back.
75 years. We don't just treat neuropathy at Lighthouse Medical Center. We have a specialized knee pain program with non-surgical solutions for bone-on-bone and knee pain issues. We also treat chronic back pain, ankle, knee, hip, and shoulder pain. Call for a free consultation with us today. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at...
All right, welcome back, one and all. Callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Donald Trump New York City Harlem pop-up rally, which was spectacular yesterday. We'll get into that. Now, I want to tell you guys this. Mike Lindell at MyPillow.com has huge savings going on. The most MAGA company in America, MyPillow.com, and a strong, longtime supporter of this program. And, you know, when you go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, you're not just helping out MyPillow and Mike Lindell, but you're helping us out too, all right? And there are incredible specials going on right now. Some of the lowest prices I've ever seen at MyPillow.com. And I really want to remind you guys yet again that this deal going on the MyPillow mattress toppers, 50% off and free shipping with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, is the best price ever on these mattress toppers. And I'm here to tell you this. The MyPillow mattress toppers, if I could only have one MyPillow product, I have like 50, but if I could only have one, it'd be the MyPillow mattress topper, because it turns your entire mattress into a big MyPillow. It will change the way you sleep. If you think you've gotten a good night's sleep in your life, you have not until you have slept on a MyPillow mattress topper. Comes in every mattress size, from the smallest all the way up to California King and everything in between. That's right, it does. Go to MyPillow.com and order your MyPillow mattress topper, 50% off and free shipping with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. You can also order toll-free over the phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879, promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff, what's up?
Hey, listen, I was just listening to a news station that said that 64% of Americans believe that America is going in the wrong direction.
Well, yeah.
That's 2/3 of America. And he shows up in Harlem, of all places, and the place goes bonkers, and they don't even hear one heckler, one person trying to disrupt it. That tells you everything.
Yeah, and you saw at the White House, Trump goes to Harlem, where Spike Lee lives. Spike Lee lives in Harlem. Think about that. Not one heckler. You're right, Jeff. And what the White House did yesterday was bring in a bunch of has-beens from a show from like the 80s or 90s, whatever, A Different World, Jasmine Guy, and a bunch of has-beens, and Jean-Pierre's walking around singing and dancing. It's a different world, like they're doing something. And I'm seeing Hispanics and blacks on the streets of New York City in Harlem shouting at the top of their lungs to President Trump, "We love you."
It was nothing but absolute love and adoration for him. And someone's interviewing RFK Jr. right now.
Mm-hmm.
He just said that by July we'll be on the ballot in every 50 states.
Good.
That's a dagger in the heart of them.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to hurt President Trump one iota. He's going to hurt the Democrats.
That's right. And, you Democrats out there, I hope you all vote for Trump. You should. But if you cannot get yourself to vote for Donald Trump because of that habit you have of voting Democrat, vote for the son of Bobby Kennedy. Vote for Robert Kennedy Jr., Democrats. I want you to vote for Trump, but if you just can't, Robert Kennedy's a great alternative for you Democrats out there. He's the real deal. He supports all this Green New Deal stuff. He's an old-time Democrat.
Yep.
All right, Jeff. You know, all this talk. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't dislike Robert Kennedy because he's good on the backs exposing, but he is a liberal.
Oh yes, how hardcore.
And it's a nightmare because our biggest problem right now, Brian, I believe, is our financial situation in the world. And they're trying to tank us to break us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, you know, all this talk of a Trump rally in New York City, it happened yesterday, the Trump pop-up rally in Harlem. What a beautiful thing. And what you pointed out is so true. Not a single heckler. Who would have imagined? Not a single heckler. You know why there wasn't a heckler? Because it wasn't announced in advance. The Democrats couldn't send fake hecklers down there.
That's right. And I believe everything that the Democrats do is deception, or what they say half-truths, but half-truth is a lie. All they do is lie.
That's correct.
Hey, in America, and Trump and MAGA is about truth and justice.
Yeah.
America first, and nothing is wrong with that. And I think more Americans are waking up to see I am way worse than I was 4 years ago, and there's no way we can sustain.
I mean, look at all these Democrats closing down bridges. These Muslim Democrats that are chanting "Death to America." You know, Newt Gingrich said on Hannity the other night that people who are chanting "Death to America" should be arrested and charged with treason.
Yeah, I listened to the news talking points on that, and he was right on point on everything. These people have no right to be in America if they're chanting "Death to America."
What other? I mean, that's like if you looked up treason in Webster's dictionary, chanting "Death to the country in which you live" would have to be treason, right?
It'd be top number one.
Yeah.
One reason to deport these, you know.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. Take care. Absolutely. Yeah. I have never agreed with Newt Gingrich more than that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, this isn't the first time this has happened with Trump. Remember when he popped into that inner city Chick-fil-A in Atlanta? And
yeah.
So we went bonkers.
Yeah, but this is New York City, which is the center of liberal nonsense in this country. The heart of liberalism has always been New York City. And then he goes into Harlem. Everybody knows that's the traditional black neighborhood, right? We're built, you know, and he gets cheered by young black children. We love you. I mean, that what we witnessed with that yesterday was living history. That was living history.
I will say this: if Trump believes he can flip New York, then by God, he can flip New York.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mike, I appreciate you know, watching Trump yesterday, because he's a New York guy. I mean, you know, right? From Queens, he's a New York guy. You know what he reminded me of yesterday when he went to this stage of the Trump campaign? Trump is to America what MacArthur was to the Philippines. I shall return. Right? I mean, it's really feels that way. I've got goosebumps just thinking about that Trump pop-up rally in Harlem. Now, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. We'll dig deeper into what happened in Harlem and why he was there yesterday and take more of your calls. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. Did any of you guys see Jean-Pierre dancing with a Different Worlds cast? If it wasn't for Jasmine Guy, who was aged like, oh my goodness. She must have been 50 when that show was on, because black women do not usually age like that. Jasmine Guy looked like, I don't know, she's an old lady now. But did you see Jean-Pierre dancing, singing A Different World? She's got one dance move. She's kind of like Elaine in Seinfeld. All right, our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this.
Making morning radio great again.
Oh, man. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. If you're on hold, hang in there. Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine what Joy Reid was thinking when she saw that? Beautiful.
Weather brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted in the best of the best patio store in Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Oh, yeah. He should do more pop-up rallies. Oh, yes. This here is my favorite MAGA hat. This is the Trump has seen this hat like maybe 10, 15 times. Hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Let's make sure Steve can join if he can.
Brian Craig here. I've been telling you about how my chiropractor, Dr. Philip Hamilton, has rid me of pain from a knee injury and arthritis pain with his laser away pain treatment. But don't just take my word for it. This is one of our callers who called me live on the radio to tell me how chiropractic physician Dr. Philip Hamilton helped him with his laser away pain treatment. You're on the radio.
That's right.
My name's Shawna from Boca Raton. I want to thank you guys once again. I listened to this show since the mid-'80s. Thank you for introducing me to Dr. Appleton, Brian. I went in there last week. I had a knee problem. At one session, I feel so much better. I brought my mother there yesterday. She has a problem with her right side or her arm. She's right-handed. She feels better. It's amazing.
If you're on hold, hang in there. Oh, it was a beautiful rally. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And I hope you've all been catching the pop-up live streams I've been doing, you know, on the long form. And, you know, the reason I've been doing that is because YouTube, they just updated their live streaming. When you do the long form, it's much easier and not as involved of a process you can easily do on your phone. and it's pretty convenient. So I do those randomly, sometimes at 3 in the morning. I did one yesterday after the radio show on the way home. Sometimes I do them when I'm driving in. Sometimes I do them in the afternoons. Yeah, the TikTok view. Well, the reason you got to do it in the TikTok view, the horizontal, is because they also live stream them in the YouTube Shorts feed. So people that watch YouTube Shorts, that don't watch like the regular long form YouTube like this, they get to see that. That's why you have to do it that way. But YouTube's made it like so easy. You just have to push a button and you can go live now. If you do it that way, as opposed to a bunch of other things you got to do it the other way.
Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 47.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We're talking about the incredible Donald Trump, New York City, Harlem pop-up rally. And just to recap, Trump went to Harlem, had a pop-up rally. Children in Harlem, black and Hispanic, cheering Trump, telling Trump they love him. Harlem loves Trump. Oh, my goodness. Well, hey, the Democrats used to own black people, so I can understand them not wanting a Democrat. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, hey, Richie. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's great. Well, in Atlanta, when he went for the first court appearance.
That's not the same. That's not the same as New York City and Harlem. It's not the same. In fact, what that does, I hear other people have said that. What that does is discount. When have you seen a Republican president go to Harlem? The only other president I've seen go to Harlem was Bill Clinton, and they were pissed. When he left office, remember, he opened up his ex-president offices in Harlem, and they were pissed.
This is an amazing thing, Chris. It doesn't matter what community you're in. You have to look at this trial that's going on in New York, and they're in such a bubble, these idiots, that people see how unfair and unjust it is. It's right out there. It's so backfiring on them already. And, not for nothing, Trump had another rally in New York yesterday, too. I mean, and I don't know whether you realize what happened there at City Hall. There's 180,000 illegals stormed City Hall yesterday in New York City. And they're demanding a free house or not throw them out of those luxury.
Is that nice? Yeah, I want a free. In America, I know these African illegals because they were Africans, right? In America, they may not be aware of this, but we have to buy our houses, and that's we pay for them.
Yeah, they want free food. They want work permits. They want a free house. And at the same time, you know what else is going on in New York? Capitalism.
You know what I don't understand? Because I saw these illegals at City Hall in New York yesterday were mainly from Africa, right? And Joy Reid and these critical race theory racists, they keep telling us blacks didn't want to be here. We're forced here. Why are Africans coming here by choice from Africa? But American blacks are telling us Africans didn't want to be. I don't understand. There seems to be a conflict, Joy Reid.
The whole thing is such a disaster for these people. They are so ignorant. They're in such a massive bubble. These Democrats have no idea what's coming down the pipe. I mean, this is such a disgusting thing. You know what they're doing? I said capitalism in New York. I don't know if you're aware of this. Vacated stores are putting mattresses in, these landlords, and charging these migrants $300 a night.
Wow.
Vacated store, usually there's one toilet.
Yeah.
The city is going crazy. The communities are going crazy. The whole city is completely falling apart.
What's going, and in Harlem, this We Love Trump in Harlem, listen, Trump's always been very popular. He's a New York City boy. He came back home yesterday. They love him. But it's the crime. He went to that bodega where Bragg wanted to put the bodega, the store owner, in prison for defending his life against a felon who tried to kill him when he was robbing his store. We're living in the upside down world.
Absolutely. And you know why they hate Trump? I was trying to sit back and think. You said when he was on The Apprentice and everything, they loved him and everything. They're jealous as hell. All these people are jealous that this man is a self-made millionaire. You keep hearing about how his father-in-law...
Excuse me, that's billionaire. That's billionaire.
Yeah, they're billions of dollars, and they said, and they thought they could break him. This is a joke. This is gonna be this got to be the biggest landslide ever. I imagine any idiot voting for. You want to take a trip to New York? You can't even get a hotel.
Who would want to stay in a hotel that's probably filled with bed bugs from all these illegals and stuff using it? Yeah, exactly.
They're hanging around all over the streets.
Yeah, botulism is coming back. The plague. I would love to know. I would love to have been over at the offices of MSNBC when those black kids in Harlem were saying, "We love you, Trump. We love you, Trump," at the top of their lungs.
They don't know what to do. They're in a panic.
The mayor's probably sending child welfare services to try to find their parents and take those kids away from them. They've been brainwashed.
What do you think of Bragg now trying to throw him in jail?
Yeah.
Today.
By the way, I saw Bragg going into the courthouse. I didn't realize how overweight he was. Did you see him?
He's a fat boy.
He is big. I mean, yeah, he's got one of those. He's like the Michelin Man.
Can you? Yeah, he looks like that.
Yeah, he does.
Can you imagine? He's going in to try to get Trump 30 days in jail.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Right.
Go for it, Bragg.
When you asked me yesterday, how long can they put him in jail? 30 days.
30 days. Well, that's each time.
Yeah, each time. But
now, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I love how President Trump is posting the Truth Social while he's in the courtroom. And, that's why he's not sleeping in court. He's looking down at his phone, and from the angle, it looks like he's sleeping because his eyes, when you're looking down, your eyes are closed.
it's in back of them. You're in the courthouse, you're in back. You're not in front. She's not, how can Martin, and she's in New York Times.
Yeah.
People are, the liars, the out-and-out liars. They look for every little thing that the guy does. If he scratches his ear, they say he's got an inner ear infection.
Yes.
This is ridiculous already.
Yeah.
Just blatant liars, and people see this.
Well, these pop-up rallies, like he's had several times, right? This, Atlanta, in towns all over the place. He'll go into a restaurant. That's a very risky thing. When I go to, every day I go and get lunch as early as I can because I get up so early. I don't eat before the show. And I'll go to, say, Chipotle or something. I take my MAGA hat off. Sometimes if I'm wearing a Trump shirt, I'll change it. Even though I can see them making the food, I assume Trump goes into these fast food places and they love him. They pray over him. He goes into places that are the crowds inside are random. And this thing yesterday, Jeff from Maine made such a great point. I don't know what happened, but all the lines just got cleared. I didn't hang up on anybody. All the lines got cleared. If you were on hold, call back. The lines just all got cleared. Whatever. I might have hit the wrong button. Who knows? It's early. I'm behind on my caffeine intake. But Jeff from Maine made a very good point and observation that I did not pick up on. Not a single heckler for Trump in Harlem. If this had been announced in advance, there would have been hecklers because the Democrats would have sent people over. Now, I want to tell you, the prices of everything are going up everywhere except at Friendly Tire in Margate. I was talking to Friendly Mike yesterday, and, I told him, I said, you are the only business in America where the prices are going down. You can get new tires for as low as $65 a tire. And, I've been buying my tires at Friendly Tire for many years, longer than they were a sponsor here on the program. And I found them out of necessity. I had a four-wheel drive Jeep Wrangler that had the big old four-wheel drive tires on it. I always wanted one. I got one. And I loved it until, well, I had to put the top back up the first time. That was very frustrating. But when I had to get tires the first time, I didn't realize how much those tires cost. Well, and I found Friendly Tire through necessity. And all the tires on every car in my family are on the road on tires from Friendly Tire. But for a long time, we've been telling you that prices at Friendly Tire were as low as $70 a tire. But now they're as low as $65 a tire. And that's on a common sizes that fit on a lot of the regular cars. I don't want to say, because then somebody will go down there and they'll have some rim that's not normally on that car. You know what I'm saying? But as low as $65 a tire. And those are new tires out the door and on the road. Because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or even dispose of your old tire. And when I tell you, we've had listeners who have driven to Florida for our cruises that have gone to Friendly Tire on their way back to Connecticut, their way back to Pennsylvania, and got tires. We had one guy, he was a listener, he listened on YouTube in New York. He was visiting Florida. He got new tires and a second set of tires. He had a Toyota 4Runner, so he got 4 new tires, and then he got 4 extra ones, put them in the back that he kept in his garage from Friendly Tire because the prices are so low. Give Friendly Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. Make sure you tell him you heard about him on the radio. He'll give you an extra good deal, okay? And take extra good care of you. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard.
What's the problem?
Something's going on with this main computer on TeamViewer. It's not connecting to any of them. So I'm supposed to end this session and then just go back on it.
Things are so computerized, there's always something. Before everything was computerized, we didn't have these problems all the time. You know? Oh my gosh. That's a good program, that one that popped up.
The Sunbits?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, when I first started in radio, we had these things, they were... you know, everything's computerized now, but we had these things called carts and cart machines. And a commercial was on a cart. Each cart had one commercial on it, and they were kind of looks like an 8-track tape. It's like a small 8-track tape. And depending on the radio station, you could have from 3 to 10 cart machines on top of the control board. And it would just, and we had these huge racks, metal racks that we had to put them on, and every day before you went on the air, you'd go through and get your carts for the hour, each hour that you were on the air, and stack them up. It was a lot of work. Now everything's automated. Cart machines. I still have some carts. Well, there's benefits to it. The production, you can do it like in 1% of the time you used to do it. Less than 1% of the time.
Hey, it says please check your internet connection. Most likely you're on you use a proxy server and you have to enter the proper information in the options.
Remember, you're online, so you don't want to say any They can hear. All right, coming back.
64879, promo code Kane. We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve.
All right, we are back. Call us on hold, stand by. We're talking about the Trump pop-up rally in Harlem yesterday, and of course, the children of Harlem love Trump.
We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
Oh, man. Harlem. Insane. It's beautiful. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. It's Roz.
Hey, Roz. Wow, isn't that Harlem pop-up rally of Trump's in New York City? Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm hoping and praying that all New York turns over to President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Couple things. Newt Gingrich also said that those people that are chanting death to America, they should be deported. And I agree with Richie. They are jealous, but it's not just because of his money. It's the way he carries himself. And any other person that was going through what he's going through, they wouldn't make it. They would faint. And 3, like you said, we're living in an upside-down world.
Mm-hmm.
Ask Kathy. It's in the Bible. It says in the end times that people will say what is good is evil and what is evil is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what's happening now in our world.
Well, what's happened is we thought we were in a free country all our lives, and we've not. We've been prisoners living in the Matrix.
Right, and we never realized that till now, till God opened our eyes to everything.
Yeah, Trump is Morpheus.
Yes, and he's a wonderful human being. I don't care what they say about him. I don't care. A lot of people are talking, well, if they indict him, people are going to change. Listen, it'll want me to vote for him even more.
Yeah.
Here.
You know, this pop-up rally with Trump, believe me, has panicked the left.
Do a rally in New York like Kathy.
He did yesterday.
Saying something about, what is it, that square, Madison Square Garden?
I don't know if they would give him permits to do an event like that at Madison Square Garden. And if they did, the Democrats would do everything they could to sabotage it.
Love him on this station, and we're all praying for him, and I continue to ask all listeners to pray for him because God is going to get him out of this
Absolutely.
baloney sausage.
It sure is. Absolutely, Roz. Thank you for your call. You know, doing a rally at Madison Square Garden is problematic. Do you remember, excuse me, Trump did a rally, I can't remember what city it was in. Somebody remind me. The one he did during COVID. Remember that? And there were very few people in there. Do you remember this? And what happened was there was a Never Trumper who was in charge of the venue. And he wasn't letting people in. And he was causing all kinds of problems so people could not get in and so that it wasn't filled up. Do you remember that? So doing a rally in a place like Madison Square Garden, you got to be very careful because you could have some liberal guy running the joint like in that rally that Trump did during COVID, and they could try to sabotage it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mark from Deerfield Beach.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, I remember when I was lived in Pompano, and I was voting for Trump. Well, when I went into the voting polls, they had they give you a pen, and then when you left, they take it away from you.
Yes. It was like a marker, yeah.
They forgot to get mine. So I went home and, excuse me, I was washing the car. I was a little out of breath.
You're washing the car at 6:51 in the morning?
Well, I go shopping at 6.
Okay.
I just got to go to work. So anyway, they took, but I had my pen. I wrote my wife a note. And an hour later, the ink had disappeared.
Mm.
So now Trump won, so it,
Yeah.
I'm taking...
Well, I don't know if I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you can get in trouble. But why didn't you make a video of this and document it? I mean, what you're basically saying is they use disappearing ink. I mean, come on, and you didn't document that. You didn't take a picture or a video. Listen. First off, Open Phones is on Friday. Today's Wednesday. There's a big movement with seminar callers on this program and others to do things to discourage you from turning out. Here we have a historic rally by President Trump in Harlem, of all places, where black children are yelling, "We love Trump." And then we got some guy here, disappearing. Yeah. Give me a break. Call Joyce Kaupin. She's desperate to talk to somebody, and you can fill up a whole hour with that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. My name is Papi Chulo Shampoo from the Bronx.
I don't know. Do we have to dump that? I don't know. I don't know if you're allowed to use those words. You're from the Bronx. What's up?
If New York goes red, it is over for Biden. It is over. Which I have to say that I would love to see. You got a lot of New Yorkers that are pissed off with the crime. You got a lot of New Yorkers that are upset with the bail reform. That's out of control, right? You got a lot of New Yorkers that are very upset at the immigration status, what's going on here with this immigration ordeal. And, them being allowed to vote, that's out of control. And if we could get enough numbers to go red, that'll be perfect.
Well, I saw a guy interviewed on Right Side Broadcasting in front of the courthouse in New York City. I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. I watch so much stuff; it all blends together. But he's a New York guy. He was interviewed by Brian from Right Side Broadcasting, and he said, he was talking about the crime. He said, New York has a reputation as being the city that never sleeps. He says it does now because people are afraid to go out at night. And I thought that was interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
That bad, and then you got AOC over here. She doesn't even want you to have your Second Amendment.
What was the serial killer in New York? Son of Sam was New York, wasn't he? I wonder, because I don't know. That was a long time ago. You're probably not old enough for that. I was a little kid, probably. I don't even. But are New Yorkers more afraid to go out on the streets now because of crime, or more afraid when the Son of Sam was running loose? I bet you they're more terrified now.
No doubt. And it wasn't like this 15, 20 years ago. It just got worse and worse and worse. The Bronx it's riddled with a lot of shootings. It's riddled.
Well, now slow down. I can't let misinformation go out on the radio. You say there's shootings in New York City. I'm under the understanding that because of the Sullivan Law, New York City has the strictest gun control legislation on the books. How can there be shootings in a place that has all these hardcore regulations on gun ownership? That's impossible.
I'm telling you, the shootings are out of control, the robberies are out of control, and it just seems like it's never ending.
Trump was talking to the bodega owner he went to that store where Bragg tried to put the store owner in prison for defending his life against that felon, and Trump's talking to the bodega owner, and he says getting robbed is just part of being in business in New York. It's just part of your business day, getting robbed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a shame, the thought process of that. It really is. You certain bad neighborhoods that I got family members. If I'm forced to go see them, I have to show up there with a fake wallet. Have like a credit card that's expired. Have $3 in a wallet because they will rob you. And these guys that are doing the robberies are the same guys that are doing the shootings, the same guys that are doing the murders, the same guys that are doing the home invasions. Those three variables are the MOs for these robberies.
Well, I'll tell you what scares me the most about New York. Okay, and I'm a tourist in New York. Because I've only been to New York as a tourist. I went there when Dinkins was mayor the first time. I was terrified. I remember going to Times Square and riding the subway at night on a Friday night when Dinkins was mayor. I don't know how I survived. And I went back after Giuliani was mayor for a little while. It was like going to Disneyland. But the thing about Bragg and New York that's changed with the crime is that the criminals, even though there's cameras everywhere, they do crime in front of cameras in the middle of the day without even hiding their face. They have zero fear of arrest or jail in New York, and that makes it the wild, wild west.
Yes, because of bail reform. They're aware that there's no accountability. They're going to go in and come back out. You know, they're aware that these politicians are pulling for them.
I mean, look at these illegals that beat up the cops a few weeks ago that Bragg let out, the guy that was giving the middle finger to the press. You know, the New York City Police Department is the pride of not just New York, but of America. It's the finest police department in the world. And when we see two of New York's finest get the tar beat out of them by a bunch of illegal punks, and then Bragg has them home before dinner time, pisses people off.
Yeah, Brian, not only that, but they had their qualified immunity taken away from them.
Mm-hmm.
That makes their job even harder.
Which means a police officer can be sued and lose everything. Not just their pension, but their home.
Yeah. That is correct. That you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't as a police officer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, I drive around. I am seeing more New York City plates than usually. You see New York City plates in the until after New Year's, and then after New Year's you don't see so many. And I'm seeing New York City plates, not just of the old retirees. I'm talking about like people that have moved here and are working here. They just haven't re-registered their car because of the expense. And, you know, as conservative as people think New York might go towards Trump, it seems like so many of those people have fled New York. I don't know. But I do know this. Harlem loved Trump yesterday, and that was history.
Yeah, listen, we cannot wait to see him walk Grand Concourse where Ronald Reagan walked.
Well, but that was 40 years ago. I mean, this is like, yesterday. Most people in this country weren't even alive then. All right, hey, listen, I got to run for the break. Thanks for the call. 1 hour down, 2 to go. Call us on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. We'll be back after this.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. From the Palm Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the oldies forecast.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, when did Reagan go there? What year was that? That was... What year was that? Reagan in 1980. So, I mean, give me a break. That's 44 years ago. That's half a century ago. Yeah, Carter. They both went during the 1980 campaign. Carter and Reagan both went. Carter went in 77 and Reagan in 1980. Oh, and then he went to, let me see. Exactly, Mark. We back shortly, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. Yeah, I was saying, this hat, I don't know how many, Trump must have seen this hat with his own eyes like maybe 12, 15 times. This is my favorite MAGA, Make America Great Again hat. My favorite one is the MAGA hat that Trump autographed, the $24,000 hat in my safe deposit box, but... I love that $24,000 autographed hat. That's like family heirloom. No, I have it. I have it in the safe deposit box at the bank. I thought it was best to secure it since I told everybody I know and on the air and everything that I have this $24,000 autographed Trump hat. So that it wasn't a good idea to keep it at home.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with...
All right, callers on hold, stand by. We're talking about the Trump pop-up rally that happened in Harlem yesterday, which was a beautiful thing. And the kids of Harlem really love Trump. These are the children of Harlem when Trump arrived in Harlem yesterday without notice with the pop-up rally. Oh, man, yes, I know. Isn't that wonderful? All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right. Once, twice. All right, you're out. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. All right, Eddie, what's up?
Hey, listen, so, listen to those kids in the Bronx. I mean, that's fantastic. I was born and raised in the Bronx, and they're the future of that city, So just hearing that, I hope it spreads like wildfire. And the comment was made a few hours back, hypothetically here, if Trump had a rally in Square Garden, and for sure somebody would try to sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
Well, these Democrats, they're not as smart as they think, This guy, Trump, he's like a boulder rolling down the mountain, and the noise is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And even if they try to sabotage a rally, just that alone would make...
Well, the one guy, the Never Trumper that was in charge of the venue where Trump had that one rally during COVID was not letting, he wasn't, he had the people that work in the facility not accept people's tickets and all kinds. It was a disaster. But, a lot of people will say, well, who cares? They're just kids yelling, "We love Trump." Well, it wasn't just kids. There were a lot of adults there. But there were a lot of kids that you hear in that video. Children, when children have an opinion about a president or a presidential candidate, 99.999% of the time, the child's opinion is a reflection of their parents' opinion. So when you have black children in Harlem that are 10, 11, and 12 years old yelling, "Trump, Trump, Trump, we love you," that means their parents, who are black and Hispanic too, feel the same way.
Absolutely. And, it's like, how bad must it be in New York City, for that to be happening like that? And it's like hard. I'm from New York. And to hear all these things are happening down there or up there, it really it hurts. But this man's going to bring it back. That disgusting governor and that disgusting mayor, they're destroying that city. And I hope it just comes back. I really do.
You know what I wonder about the mayor? When he was a police officer, how many arrests did he make? And when was the last time he made an arrest? When he was running, he looked out of his window of his office, and there was a fight down the street, and I was in shock. He called the police. He had a detail of cops with him, and he called the police. You know, if Giuliani saw a street fight, he'd have gone down there and broken it up. Not this guy.
Isn't it amazing what the difference, the night and day? And let's just grasp my guy was a former cop. Of all people, man, you used to work the streets. You should, I mean, how is it that you are the way you are when you used to work the streets?
Because he really didn't work the streets. He, from what I understand, the mayor, he got from one job to the next, and he was very threatening towards people about racial discrimination so that he'd get promoted and things a lot. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. So at the pop-up rally in Harlem yesterday, which was just beautiful, President Trump did talk, and let me play some of this audio.
Me? Oh, I love them. I mean, they love me. Did you see my numbers? My numbers are the highest numbers in the history of the Republican Party. With the Latinos, with the
It's hard to hear President Trump because all the Harlem residents in the background are yelling, "We love Trump" in the background.
Frankly, the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, we're going to have to do something because no country can sustain it. Remember, they're emptying out their prisons and they're emptying out their mental institutions into our country. These are prisoners and people from mental institutions.
And, you know, these people that are yelling Trump, Trump, Trump are yelling so loud that there's distortion in the mic, and they're not even near the mic. They're 15, 20 feet away from the mic, some of them even further, and they're getting picked up and distorting the mic from that far away. That's not easy to do. That's how loud it was. So let me see, here's another clip. I'm not sure if this is the same one or not. Hold on.
You know, we're going to give New York a very good shot for the presidency. We think we should be able to do it. A lot of things have changed. LeeZep did a beautiful job. He ran, he lost by a little bit. And as you know,
yeah, and in this clip, it's the same thing. We love Trump. You hear in the background over and over again. And, you know, in New York City, people, when you're born in New York City, they give your parents a birth certificate and a Democrat voter registration card. And people that are in New York City, they don't know another way. So, I mean, that was, not only was that historic, nothing like that has happened. And I looked it up during the break. Ronald Reagan went in 1980 during the campaign, he went to New York and walked around a little bit. That's not the same thing. That was a planned event, okay? And he had not been president yet. It's not the same thing. Not only has President Trump been president again and he goes there, he's had 9 years of the liberal press brainwashing the American people about him, and they still love him in New York City. So CNN, this was CNN's coverage yesterday, they found these two old white people somewhere. Not that there's anything wrong with being white. I know a lot of people think there is these days. But they found these people who claim to be Trump voters, and they don't like Trump. Let me share this with you. This was CNN yesterday. Now, the real story yesterday are black children and residents of New York City chanting, "We love Trump." But CNN, they go to Texas and find these retirees sitting around like Archie and Edith watching CNN all day. And I'll tell you, I question whether these people really voted for Trump. People that are MAGA, think about this. How many of you out there that are Trump supporters voted for him in the first two elections, you're going to vote for him in this one, would invite CNN into your home? Think about that. Would you trust CNN to come into your home? I wouldn't. So just based on the fact that they allowed CNN to come into their home and do this story, I question whether they really voted for Trump in these elections as they claim. But there's no way to know. We only have their word for it, these CNN lovers.
Hay and Ron Swart settled in along with us in their living room to watch coverage of the Trump jury selection.
One group went through the effort to make a large parade-style banner reading, "No one is above the law."
They've both voted for Trump twice.
I call total bullcrap on this, okay? First off, they voted for Trump twice. They invite CNN into their living room. They're watching CNN, and they get their news from CNN. No, I call total BS on that.
One group went through the effort to make a large parade-style banner reading, "No one is above the law."
They've both voted for Trump twice.
What is your feeling today about Donald Trump's moral character?
It's terrible. I can't.
It's terrible. What do you think about Trump's moral character? It's terrible. They watch CNN. They invite CNN into their home. They think he's a man of low character. Let's go back. Oh, hold on. I hit mute on that. Hold on. Let me turn up the volume again. There we go.
Terrible. I can't get much lower than it is.
They live on a hilltop ranch in Roberts County in the Texas Panhandle, where 96% of the voters chose Trump over Joe Biden in 2020, the highest Trump percentage of any county in America.
He continues to make crazy comments about being a dictator's first day and repercussions against people who he feels have wronged him.
We met this couple during a visit to Roberts County last year. They told us then they liked Mike Pence and Ron DeSantis. But with Trump the only Republican left standing, things have gotten complicated.
If Donald Trump is found guilty of one of these crimes, whether it's in this trial happening right now or one of the trials happening in the future, do you think he's fit to be president of the United States?
I don't think he's fit.
Oh, my goodness. They don't think he's fit.
But I'm voting for him.
I really feel like that we're not going to be able to survive another 4 years with the Democrats in charge.
Rick McDowell is someone else we met last year in Roberts County. He told us then he liked Ron DeSantis.
If Donald Trump is found guilty of a criminal charge, do you think he's fit to be president of the United States?
He's as fit as the current president.
Why is that?
Because nobody investigates Joe Biden. Nobody's going to investigate Joe Biden.
In Roberts County, the current president is often prominently mentioned when you ask questions about the former president.
You think Donald Trump is of low character and poor morals and poor ethics?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
You don't think he's fit to be president if he's found guilty, yet you're going to vote for him. How do you address that conflict? How do you vote for a man who you feel so poorly about?
I feel like as wrong as it's going to be to have him for president, he's still going to be a lot better president for the United States than what we've got with Joe Biden and the Democrats.
Okay. Now, what this story is about, so these are all never-Trumpers. They think he's of low moral character, et cetera, but they're going to vote for him anyway. So why would CNN do this story? Because the Democrats, like us, are thinking about a brokered convention. Okay? Who they're going to plug in or try to... It's not that it's going to be successful. I mean, listen, we have people that are... We were talking about this yesterday, that are planning on a brokered convention for the Republicans. So what CNN has been doing is that it's more foreshadowing, like this fake fundraiser thing that DeSantis is doing and Sununu's for Trump and all this stuff. They want to be there at the convention to try to broker it if that happened. The Democrats are doing the same thing. They're trying to set the stage that a lot of Republicans don't like Trump. They're only doing it because he's better than Biden as an excuse. CNN is working very hard to replace Biden and have a brokered convention. I'll tell you why in a little bit, but we'll take our first break of this hour and come back with that and a whole bunch more. Don't go anywhere.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Nation and places us behind iron bars. But I don't want to race to the part that made me feel better because it makes me cry. Just lay out. I mean, you've had so many moments on this show where you have forced me to realize that it isn't just Trump, right? It's us. And I want you to I mean, I feel like that's reflected in the title, but take me through the book.
So these are lectures I gave like 11 years ago. And I decided to return to them because I had lost my bearings. That's the soil that produced Begin Again, the soil that produced democracy in black. So I wanted to go back because I had lost people. I was dealing with the reality of death, of COVID, the political atmosphere. And so I went back to them, and there I found something, right? That at the heart of what I was thinking is that democracies require certain kind of people to work. And we just got to be better people. Frederick Douglass said it July 5th, 1852, Nicole. He said the nation was young, but there's a horrible reptile in the nation's bosom. And he said, because we're young, we need to tear it away. We desperately need to tear it away. Well, that serpent is eating our entrails now. It always has. It always has. So there are these moments. There are these moments when the nation, and here I'm echoing Ralph Ellison, the author of Invisible Man. There are these moments when the nation gets weary of its struggle for democratic equality, and it reaches for the fantasy of a lily white America.
They're standing up tall, and they feel years younger. Now, it's always a free consultation with Dr. Matez when you tell him you heard about him on the radio. 561-320-8893. 561-320-8893. Brian Craig here. When it comes time to get my blood work done, I don't have time to spend hours in the doctor's office or waiting hours in one of those big labs. That's why I go to any lab test now in Boca.
We'll be back after this, guys.
Coral Springs for all of my lab work. Their techs are highly skilled and professional, and their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest on lab work you'll find anywhere. Appointments aren't necessary. Doctor's orders and prescriptions, they're not needed either. I'm in and out in 15 minutes or less. I get the results the next day in my email box.
It's a break, Molly. I gotta rest a little bit during the breaks.
These are the only two advertising on our radio station, so don't use the rest. Only go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza. That's where the Western Beef is, between Palmetto Park Road and Hillsborough Boulevard on the east side of State Road 7, 441. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Call Any Lab Test Now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any Lab Test Now
This seemed like a really long break.
904-906-5983. And don't forget to mention that you heard about them on the radio.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, here Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at...
All right, call us on hold, stand by. Our number 1-888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Wednesday morning, April 17th. A week from Saturday, we leave on our cruise. And you guys, obviously, we'll be running best of shows while we're on the cruise on the radio. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I will be on YouTube on the cruise. Okay, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. You guys should follow me there anyway, because I do all kinds of stuff there that you're missing out on if you're not on my YouTube channel. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Man, I thought those kids in Harlem, I'm hoping that miserable morning joke his day was ruined when he heard that, because everybody loves President Trump. This is the way it is in the whole country, and he's really going to be in shock.
Oh, yes. You know, and what I was talking about from... you know, the kids, a lot of people are saying their kids, they don't vote. I was talking about the parents. You know, there's been a lot, they do this thing in school during elections where they have like the mock elections for the kids. And there's been a lot of studies done on this by the teachers union and other groups. And 99.999% of the time, the kids vote the same way their parents vote in these mock elections. So when I see 10 and 11, 12-year-old black kids and Hispanic kids yelling, "We love Trump," that means their parents do too in Harlem, in New York City. That's huge.
Oh yeah, well, and New York, especially New York. You know, New York is supposed to be Democratic. No, they got Giuliani in there because they know that the better guy is the guy.
And there's been Republican governors too.
It's just a matter of how bad can it be? President Biden is the worst guy we ever had.
Yep.
How dumb you have to be to say, "Oh, I got to get somebody else." And Trump did a great job, so put him back in. And it's sickening to see that how CNN tries to change everything, like you said, with those people that are white guys that that don't want to vote for President Trump. I mean, come on, how dumb do you think people are? How did they find these people who hate President Trump? They must have wrote into them and
yeah. Well, they have a list. All these people they interviewed before. They were never Trumpers before. They were with DeSantis, remember?
Exactly. You know,
yeah.
This is the CNN. I guess you got to try. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Just give in?
Exactly.
But everybody will.
Now you went to, I don't know why, but you went to Aruba without us not very long ago. You were scouting out our cruise destination. How'd you like Aruba? I've always wanted to go.
Aruba is fantastic. Restaurants are very expensive, but it's fantastic.
Oh, our food's all included. When you go on the cruise, food and drinks all included, man.
Yeah, you're right. Plus, I said the main thing I didn't like about it was you have to go through customs to get in. It takes a long time. And then you have to go through 2 customs to get out.
Oh, see, you don't have to do all that. When you go with us, you don't have to do that. You know, the cruise ship takes care of all that. It's boom, boom. It takes like 6 seconds.
That's the way to go. And besides that ship is amazing, man.
The Celebrity Beyond, it is. You know, we go on Celebrity cruise line. Celebrity it's like a yacht, and they have about half the number of passengers as the other cruise ships have, of the same size on the other cruise lines, and there's like no kids. I mean, I don't have a problem with kids. Okay, I mean, but I really, when I go to relax, I don't need a bunch of screaming kids all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have a great time.
Oh, I know. Well,
my kids could have went with me if they're in school. I would probably would.
Well, there's always the next one. All right, take care. I'm going to take this break on time because I want to play this clip from this idiot from MSNBC, and I don't have time to it's time for the break. If I start it now, we'll be very late. So I'm going to take this break on time. We'll come back, and I'll share this racist that was on MSNBC yesterday. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. We're talking about the incredible Harlem, New York City pop-up Trump rally yesterday. We'll take our break and be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're going to really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
What?
With whatever the heck's causing TeamViewer not to work.
Oh.
Because everything else is fine.
Yeah.
It's not that. So it has to be the app of some sort. It's been a while since I stayed in the same.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It used to be that one, now it's this one.
Oh, they didn't show that on CNN or MSNBC, the Harlem rally? Shocker. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You know, this is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida. I often say this, on the radio since 1977. And when you're the longest running radio show, things happen. Another one of our guests died, Bob Graham, who used to be the governor of Florida, and he was also a senator from Florida, a Democrat, and he was a guest on the show at least once, maybe twice. And so another one, I got to get a list of all the Steve Kane Show guests that have died. And, you know, when you're the longest running radio show, the show has outlived many of our guests. But Bob Graham died. And he was on the show a couple times. He was a Democrat. He wasn't like one of these New Day Democrats. But, you know, the politicians we used to have were much different than the ones we have now. Even the Democrat ones. Like Ron DeSantis, you know, he's doing some good things now, so, you know, I'm happy, but, you know, I still don't trust the guy. But Bob Graham did this thing before he was governor that were called work days. And he did this for years, and he did this 400 times or more. And I don't know if anyone's going to mention this today. What he used to do, Bob Graham, our governor and senator years ago, he would take a job and do that job for a day. You know, like that thing, Undercover Boss. He kind of did that. And he didn't have the press there. And he did all kinds of jobs throughout the state of Florida. And he did it once at a radio station I worked at. Not when I worked there. It was before I worked there. WNWS. And I can't remember what WNWS was on the dial. AM station. I want to say... Was it 790? Does anybody remember the old WNWS? Steve used to work at WNWS, but we did not work there at the same time. So I don't know if Steve was there when this has happened, but Bob Graham did a work day at the radio station, and he did everything. He ran the board, like a board op, and did news reports for an entire day. And he did this 400 times. He did all kinds of jobs, like bag boy at Publix. Then there was another guy that we had as governor. See, these politicians today, they're just such wimps, except Donald Trump. But there was another governor we had, Lawton Chiles, who was governor after a couple governors later. His nickname was Walkin' Lawton Chiles. He walked the entire state of Florida from the Panhandle to Key West on foot. Can you imagine? You know, these governors today, they're a bunch of wimps. So if you're on hold, stand by. I want to play this. This is from MSNBC. And I've been watching MSNBC a lot this week because of the Trump trial, and they've been doing a lot of coverage of it. And I've learned that when they're not covering the Trump trial, all their programming is, if Trump wins, it's the end of democracy. And this is a common theme on MSNBC. It's all the death of democracy. That's all they talk about. And they're George Orwell, 1984. You know, they change the meaning of words. And to them, when the American people rise up and say, we want Trump and he wins the majority of the votes, that's the death of democracy. Democracy is when the person with the fewest votes win. I don't know what that means. Nicole Wallace, who's a traitorous Republican, she used to work for John McCain. She does this show, and she brings this black guy on who's an author. He's talking about the death of democracy, and he's one of these critical race theorists. And I mentioned that he's black because it is relevant to what he says. Okay, let's listen. Nicole Wallace's guest yesterday talking about if Trump wins, it's the death of democracy.
I was thinking is that democracies require certain kind of people to work. And we just got to be better people. Frederick Douglass said it July 5th, 1852, Nicole. He said the nation was young, but there's a horrible reptile in the nation's bosom. And he said, because we're young, we need to tear it away. We desperately need to tear it away. Well, that serpent is eating our entrails now. It always has. It always has. So there are these moments. There are these moments when the nation, and here I'm echoing Ralph Ellison, the author of Invisible Man, there are these moments when the nation gets weary of its struggle for democratic equality, and it reaches for the fantasy of a lily-white America.
Oh, boy. See, that's MAGA. We want a lily-white America. Really? Is that why Trump went to Harlem? And all those black people and Hispanic people are yelling, we love Trump? It doesn't seem so lily-white. I haven't heard lily-white in a long time. That used to be a common phrase, but I haven't heard lily-white since, like, the days of George Jefferson.
Gets weary of its struggle for democratic equality, and it reaches for the fantasy of a lily-white America.
I bet you this guy is a college professor, the way he talks.
And, that carries in tow patriarchy. It carries in tow all of this, the ugliness that's on the under.
Oh, my goodness. The lily-white America and patriarchy. This guy,
and so
he's hitting everything.
In this book, that if we're going to change, it's not going to be an election. It's not going to be leaders. It's not going to be some prophet from on high. It's going to be us.
Well, look, as you know, I was out and I came back and I realized that there was not going to be any legal accountability, most likely in the federal cases into Donald Trump. And
yeah, because he didn't do anything wrong, Nicole Wallace.
I thought, you know what, this is fantastic because this now means this election matters. We are the jury, right? Like it is us, and I feel like it's so quintessential American to wait for someone to come save us, right? We want a quick fix to our weight, right? We want a quick fix to our politics. We want a quick fix. We want to watch what we want to watch. And your sort of what you write and what you preach.
Oh, preach.
Coming to save us, but we do have agency, right? We can turn away from this.
Yeah, it's in our hands. We can either save it or it can go to hell. It's not, we can't wait for John Wayne or we can't wait for a Marvel hero. We can't wish that we had superpowers. Actually, we got power. Ralph.
This is an interesting thing because, watching I don't watch television news really at all. The only time I watch television cable news is when there's breaking news. And the trial's breaking news and what's been going on in New York. So I've been watching MSNBC, CNN, and Fox a lot this week. I normally don't. And the common thing, and you hear it in this, other than the racism, okay, towards those of us that are lily white, and the patriarchy. So, they're against white people, they're against men. And notice how they define the entire MAGA movement as these negative things. Sexist, racist. But what I sense in this and CNN and every segment is depression from each and every one of the hosts of every single show on both of these networks, depression. And what's happened with the media is a lot, but what's really happened with them is what they're depressed about is they have no influence any longer. Zero. In fact, they have counter-influence. Whatever they're pushing for, the American people seem to want to go for the opposite. And it's not just that people don't trust the media, they despise the media, and it's all fake news. And they can sit around with their over-intellectualizing and talking about the dream of a lily-white America that Trump represents to the patriarchy all day and all night. What I saw was President Trump go to Harlem yesterday and have black people and Hispanic people shouting at the top of their lungs they love him. So they don't seem very concerned about this lily-white racist patriarchy that they're fantasizing about on MSNBC. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brother Brian, IB.
Hey, IB.
I'm going to tie this in. Yesterday you were right 50% and I was right 50%. Howard Stern is where I was going with the next question, because I wanted you to know that since you've been mentioning it so much lately, I only called 3 radio shows in my life, 80s, 90s, Howard Stern, and now you in 2000s. And I saw Private Parts and I choked up. I'm going to tie this in. I choked up because there was one part of the movie, and that's what I wanted to say, and that was the one thing that I read in. And my experience comes from being in Boiler Room and Glengarry, Glen Ross kind of environment, making thousands of phone calls and hundreds of talk time. So I'm on the same page with you. But tying it in, I choked up when I heard those kids saying, "We love you, Trump," in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, Long Island. Okay, it's not just there because that's where it's covered. People are feeling that. I told you the Pied Piper is coming, so I'm sorry to sound like a child. Hey, in Harlem.
By the way, has anyone ever told you that you're a man of a few thousand words? You ever heard that expression? The thing about what happened in Harlem yesterday, which probably we wouldn't even know about it if it weren't for social media. Maybe Fox had it, I don't know. But there's a complete media blackout on that, and it's going to continue, and it's very important for all of us to share it on all of our social media. But, you mentioned Stern. I'm going to ask you a question about Howard Stern, because, I grew up with that. Howard Stern used to be such a tough guy, standing up against the man in the establishment. What happened to him? He's turned into an old woman. What's happened to this guy?
I think Sirius Satellite came out in '99, or was it? I think it was Sirius, not XM. That's when I stopped listening because I couldn't afford it. I didn't have that radio in my car, so I couldn't listen to Stern from I think '99 or 2000-ish. So I see the transition in what you talk about and what I see, but I like to use the PCAP word. He became a PCAP.
Are you talking about his wife? I used to listen to him, not live, but I used to listen to him because he did good interviews. And I've heard him do interviews with people I've never heard of or didn't care about, and they were fascinating. He does very good celebrity interviews, except Madonna. She's one of those. But Howard Stern said something on the air about 10 or 12 years ago that made me physically ill, and I stopped listening to him. And I'll tell you what it was. He was talking about how he was having sex with this girl and the condom broke, and he completed the act with a broken condom, and he was talking about how he was really nervous that the girl was going to get pregnant from him. And the girl said to him, "Don't worry, I've got the morning after pill." She had one with her or something, and she took it. And he was so relieved and so excited. He said, "That would have been her ship coming in. 18 years of child support from me." And the way he said it, he was talking to Robin about it, was laughing and joking and just thought it made him look good and thought it was funny. I was physically ill to my stomach, and I never went back to Stern after that. And it's sick what he said, and the way that he said it was disgusting. And I've only recently hear about him again because he's out there trashing Trump, and the way that this show operates, people don't realize this. And I saw an interview a couple years back that he did. David Letterman interviewed him on David Letterman's Netflix show, and Howard Stern talked about how he grew up listening to Bob Grant, the great Bob Grant from New York City, and Steve took me out to dinner once with Bob Grant, and Bob Grant is one of the legends of radio. And he said he grew up listening to Bob Grant, and he models his show after Bob Grant. Well, this show is modeled after Bob Grant learned from the guy Steve learned from, Joe Biden. But what we do here is based on that type of radio. We have our chronic callers, Richie the bus driver and all that stuff. Stern has the Whack Pack and all that stuff. So there's a lot of similarities in the style of radio we do. People don't realize that. But he's become such an old, wimpy woman who's a part of the establishment now, And it's really sad to see a man who used to be like a man's man become a wimp.
He's just simply a recluse and doesn't like really anyone, and doesn't like, the fact that you would be in your house and don't want to touch anything that anyone else touches, and you just live in your house with all those millions, you don't get to enjoy all that on your ground. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. See what I told you with the chronic callers? There's always one more thing. You gotta, You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Sal, and
yeah. Yeah. What's up?
Yeah. If you recall, back in 2015, you invited me to the Coral Springs studio.
Big mistake.
Back then, I was living in Palm Beach Gardens, and you had Cully Johnson as a guest, and me, and then
Cully. Cully's dead. That guy that was on the show with you, he's dead too. Another one of our guests that's dead. Cully died. Yeah, a year or two ago. Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't that old either. Wow. Okay. Anyway, with the Trump being on trial again, what you don't seem to realize is while you're on your cruise, you're going to be deep into the trial. It'll probably hurt your cruise a little bit as far as
why, how
much you enjoy it.
Why will it hurt my cruise?
Because it's possible that there could be a verdict during.
We leave a week from Saturday. You mean they have 7 of the 18 jurors? You mean to tell me that the trial is, they're going to pick the jurors, they're going to have the trial, they're going to have all the witnesses, and a verdict is going to be rendered in 2 weeks?
I would guess they're saying it's going to be a 6-week trial, but I'm going to guess because of
they have televisions on the cruise ship, and they have Fox News on Celebrity Cruise Line. That's one of the reasons we choose it. They don't have CNN or MSNBC. They got Fox.
You can watch anything you want from there. Internet.
You're not. Your name is. I've given your name. I did this a few years ago to our travel agent. You're not allowed to book in our group. You're forbidden to be in our group on the cruise.
Well, I wasn't thinking of going on this cruise.
But it doesn't matter. No, you're not. You are not allowed. Our group is a private group. There's a couple other people. I'm not going to mention their names, but you were the first name I gave him, and you're on the do not book on our cruise group list. I'm not kidding.
So if my ex-girlfriend decides to book
your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, and she wants to get back together, so maybe she...
No, to book on the cruise, your ex-girlfriend, this fictitious ex-girlfriend, your name would have to be booked too. You just can't, it's international travel and such. Your name would be on the booking as well. So even if your brother-in-law that pays for hookers booked and brought you along, you'd still have to have your name on there. Your name is on the list. You are not allowed to book in our group. It's been that way since, on the first cruise, one guy came and I said, oh, never again. So after the first cruise, and I've added names to it over the years, but you were the first name I gave our travel agent that's not allowed to be in our group. I'm not kidding. I'm serious as a heart attack.
You told me that 2-3 years ago.
I'm telling you again.
Oh, okay.
I mean, do you think we want to spend a week having dinner with you every night? Are you kidding?
Oh, there's lots of places to eat on a cruise ship. I don't have to eat with you. If you had Lester's Diner, I mean, that was 26 years ago.
Yeah, I've forgotten about it. That's like the high point of your breakfast life. All right, take care, Al. I think I threw him off there a little bit, but that's true. There's some other people, too. I'm not going to tell you who they are. Because nobody knows. He's the only person that knows he's on our do not book list. I am serious as a heart attack about that. All right, we'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning.
You can act like you don't care, but...
No, he cares. I could tell. It stopped him for a second. Yeah, like what if my girlfriend, yeah.
Like you say, like, yeah, the hooker that you.
Yeah, yeah.
We've discussed this many times. A lot of the largest prison systems in America for incarceration are housing people who are awaiting trial, as Chris alluded to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that Alvin Bragg has actually done that a lot of progressives have been happy about is a lot of those prisons are also housing, they're the new housing for the mentally ill. You know, rather than actually dealing with issues of mental illness in our cities, we're using prison and jail for that. But to the point that you all were just making, I mean, one of my favorite facts about one of Donald Trump's lawyers, Susan Michellis, is that one of her former clients was the notorious New York mobster Benny Eggs. And I will just assume and presume that old Benny Eggs was not attacking the judge. So Donald Trump is at this point outdoing actual mobsters in his attacks on the judge's families, the daughter, and he's doing it to the point that Lawrence made.
I mean, would you want to? No. I remember on the recorded commercial, I say sometimes, "No liberal stowaways allowed."
Brian Craig here with a question for senior.
Yeah, our first cruise was we did a weekend cruise because we'd never done it before. We wanted to test the waters, and there was one jerk that came, but other than that, on all the other cruises, it's all nice people. I mean, we've had some stalkers that 3 cruises ago, somebody got on the ship and the security threatened to put them in the brig. That happened. That was 2 or 3 cruises ago. I guess it's 3 if you include this one, I guess. Our 2019 cruise. All right, we are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I want to tell you, Jupiter Joe Thomas is offering free copies of his book. All you got to do is call his office and ask for it. You can also do it over his website, and he's also offering free phone consultations no matter where you're located in America. So he's offering free phone consultations and free copies of his book, The Retirement Know-It-All. And, you should take advantage of both of these free offers. If you are retired or plan on retiring at any point in your life, give him a call for both the free consultation and the book. And by the way, you don't have to set up the consultation to get the book for free. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. So, Greta Van Susteren was talking about the MSNBC and CNN coverage of the Trump trial, and a couple days ago, what she said was so spot on and interesting, and an angle that I had, and I don't think anyone's really considered. Greta Van Susteren became famous during the O.J. Simpson trial. She was a law professor, and she became a commentator for CNN. And when I interviewed her, when she started her show on Newsmax, I talked to her about that. And O.J. during the trial said she was his favorite commentator on the trial. And she corrected me on. She got a little upset with me when I interviewed her. I talked to her about all this stuff. And I said, I remember when O.J. was acquitted of those murders he committed, you went home with O.J. And she says, I did not go home with O.J. She said, I met him at his home to interview him. She wouldn't, She corrected me. She said the way I implied is like she had sex with OJ. But she spent a year doing coverage of the CNN trial as a legal analyst. And she was talking about the coverage on MSNBC and CNN this week and how it's different than what she and others did during OJ. She said when you watch these commentators on CNN and MSNBC, they're having parties and enjoying it as opposed to giving legal analysis. And she said the way they're acting is inappropriate. And it's true. I been watching this week, and they are so energized by this trial of President Trump. And I'll tell you, this trial's going nowhere. They think that the fix is in because it's in New York. And you see how he was greeted yesterday. Joy Reid, she was on yesterday, and she was wearing the Trump wig again, that blonde wig she wears. She commits cultural misappropriation every day. And she was talking about the trial and Bragg. Listen.
That you all were just making. I mean, one of my favorite facts about one of Donald Trump's lawyers, Susan Michelis, is that one of her former clients was the notorious New York mobster Benny Eggs. And I will just assume and presume that old Benny Eggs was not attacking the judge. So Donald Trump is at this point outdoing actual mobsters in his attacks on the judge's family, the daughter, and he's doing it to the point that Lawrence made. He knows he will never spend a day, a second, a moment in prison.
Yeah, because he did nothing wrong. And the difference between Trump and Jimmy Eggs, I never heard of Jimmy Eggs. Is that a real guy? Jimmy Eggs was guilty of whatever he was up against. And this judge has been bought off. I mean, come on. The $10 million the daughter got, the Laura Loomer breaking that the judge's wife works for Letitia James. This is a corrupt judge. And Trump is doing the right thing breaking this gag order, and she's right. He's not going to go to prison for a single day because he did nothing wrong.
But for me, there is something wonderfully poetic about the fact that despite the fact that even if convicted, he's not going to go to prison, the first person to actually criminally prosecute Donald Trump is a black Harvard grad, the very kind of person that his former staff, the people who worked for him, Stephen Miller, etc., want to never be at Harvard Law School.
So, you know, did you hear what she just said? It's poetic that he's being prosecuted by a black man who went to the Ivy League, that Stephen Miller and Trump don't want black people to go to Harvard. Where did she get off with that idea? You know, notice how and she smiles when she says it. Where does she get this idea that Trump is if Trump is so racist, why are the black people in Harlem cheering him on saying, "I love you" yesterday? Everything with her is in that prism of race. And what you hear a lot from Joy Reid is projection, her racism. She's projecting her racism on everyone around her. Now, we're going to take our break for the top of the hour. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Our number toll-free, 1-888-465-26. I don't think anyone should go to Harvard. That place sucks, and the people that graduated are a poison in our society. No doubt. We'll be right back.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3.
Jimmy Eggs sounds like a character from like Johnny Dangerously or something. I mean, Jimmy Eggs, is that the name?
Sounds like an old Western cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Audio versus Jimmy Eggs.
Exactly.
Offer valid through 4/17. Compare to trimmer purchased separately. Blower and trimmer same package together.
Kentucky Derby's on Star Wars Day.
Oh, is it? It's already here again.
Crazy. I would have been doing that event if I didn't have work. They want us there around like 12.
Oh.
It's fun though. It's always really exciting. They always have like something on the track, like
Yeah.
like little events, like balloons and
That track looks kind of funny, the dog track. It's like a miniature.
yeah, like not what it would be.
It's too bad they don't do that anymore.
I don't know. I mean,
The
I
dog
get
track.
the argument, but like I really don't like that they took it away.
Yeah.
Dogs were taken care of. They had to go homes after they retired.
Mm.
Like they always took care of them. I don't know what they're talking about with abuse.
Yeah. I'm talking about the dog track. The dog track, they don't do dog races are illegal in Florida now. But they at the casino used to be a dog track, so they still have the dog track there, and it's like it's kind of funny to look at. It's a miniature horse track. Is what it is. Yeah, so one guy, they had to threaten, this guy was like stalking us on the cruise, and eventually the security came and said if he didn't stop, they were going to put him in the brig. They have a real brig on these ships. Then there was, there's been a couple other weirdos, but since we have our own group, all the things that we do are just for our group, and no one else is allowed in. I know I told you guys, the guy that attacked me on the air when Steve held my arms and the guy pummeled me a couple times, he was in our group on the last cruise. You know, I knew he was coming because, you know, he had a miserable time. All right. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We've been celebrating the pop-up Trump rally. You know, so one thing, too, let me just, for those that are tuning in, and I'll get to the new stuff right after this, but Trump, after he left this corrupt courtroom yesterday, went to the bodega where Bragg wanted to put the store owner in prison for defending his life against the felon that robbed him. And it was a pretty terrible thing. And it was in Harlem. And there were a group of school kids. I guess they just got out of school. I don't know. And they were on the street. Trump comes by. And they're black. They're Hispanic. Mostly black. It's Harlem. And they're yelling at Trump, "We love you."
I love you, Trump! I love you, Trump! I love you, Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
I mean, that's spectacular. And you know, and you hear all those other people, they think they've got it in the bag because it's New York City. These people yelling, "We love Trump" out there, some of them are adults too. The jury pool seems to love Trump in New York. But that wasn't the only place where the Democrats in the Uniparty had problems. This January 6th case, did you guys watch any of this? Oh, this was beautiful. The January 6th case in front of the Supreme Court yesterday did not go well. And I listened to the questioning of Clarence Thomas and Gorsuch of this Crete Democrat lawyer, and they're done. It's just like the last Supreme Court case about taking Trump off the ballot. You know, you can tell how they're going to rule based on the questions and their tone. And I'm going to play this of Clarence Thomas, and you know, for most people, you probably have not heard the voice of Clarence Thomas before. He doesn't talk much in these Supreme Court hearings. In fact, There was once, and this is not a joke, or an exaggeration. There was a 10-year period where Clarence Thomas did not once utter a syllable during a Supreme Court hearing. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, you got to listen. So let me play this. You'll hear this liberal Democrat lady with her J6 arguments, and then you'll hear Clarence Thomas talking to her, and he makes brilliant points.
Thank you. General Prelogger?
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. On January 6, 2021, a violent mob stormed the United States Capitol and disrupted the peaceful transition of power. Many crimes occurred that day, but in plain English, the fundamental wrong committed by many of the rioters, including petitioner, was a deliberate attempt to stop the joint session of Congress from certifying the results of the election.
Okay, and the petitioner, the presidents whose name shall not be mentioned, President Voldemort, Trump.
That is, they obstructed Congress's work in that official proceeding. The government accordingly charged petitioner with violating Section 1512C2, an obstruction offense that directly reads onto his conduct. The case as it comes to this court presents a straightforward question of statutory interpretation. Did petitioner obstruct, influence, or impede the joint session of Congress? The answer is equally straightforward. Yes, he obstructed that official proceeding. The terms of the statute unambiguously encompass his conduct. Petitioner doesn't really argue that his actions fall outside the plain meaning of what it is to obstruct. Instead, he asks this court to impose an
Now, Clarence Thomas is going to come in.
In his view, because Section 1512C1 covers tampering with documents and other physical evidence, the separate prohibition in Section 1512C2 should be limited to acts of evidence impairment. But that limit has no basis in the text or tools of construction. His reading hinges on the word otherwise, but that word means in a different manner, not in the same manner. And the true prohibitions in Section 1512C2 aren't unified items on a list where you could apply associated words canons. They're separate provisions. They have their own sets of verbs and their own nouns. They each independently prohibit attempts, which would be duplication that makes no sense.
Oh my goodness, I'm getting a headache. Let me try to fast forward to Thomas. Oh, here we go.
To trial. I welcome the court's questions.
General, there have been many violent protests that have interfered with proceedings. Has the government applied this provision to other?
Now, this is beautiful. Okay, Clarence Thomas, a lawyer, a good lawyer, will not ask a question that they do not know the answer to. So Justice Thomas, this is why, when he doesn't talk for 10 years. When he talks, you listen, because he's a very smart man. And, he says there's all these liberal groups that have interrupted government business. Has the government prosecuted them? And he knows the answer to that is no. In fact, I remember when those Handmaid's Tales ladies were trying to take pry the doors of the Supreme Court building off the hinges, right, to stop Kavanaugh from being sworn in? And he asks her a great question. Let's hear her great answer.
In the past, and has this been the government's position throughout the lifespan of the statute?
It has certainly been the government's position since the enactment of 1512C2 that it covers the myriad forms of obstructing an official proceeding.
Yeah, but have they prosecuted any of them?
Impairment gloss.
Have you enforced it in that manner?
We have enforced it in a variety of prosecutions that don't focus on evidence. Now, I can't give you an example of enforcing it in a situation where...
she can't give an example of when they've enforced it. So, yeah, because they haven't. This is selective prosecution. Then a similar thing happened with Trump appointee Neil Gorsuch.
So what does that mean for the breadth of this statute? Would a sit-in that disrupts a trial or access to a federal courthouse qualify? Would a heckler in today's audience qualify, or at the State of the Union address? Would pulling a fire alarm...
Notice that one, because of the Democrat that pulled the fire alarm during the congressional hearing last year, right?
Or at the State of the Union address? Would pulling a fire alarm before a vote qualify for 20 years in federal?
There are multiple elements of the statute that I think might not be satisfied by those hypotheticals, and it relates to the point I was going to make to the Chief Justice about the breadth of this statute. The kind of built-in limitations are the things that I think would potentially suggest that many of those things would...
Blah, 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 blah. Wouldn't you like to see her boyfriend?
The proceeding has been brought back into line, or the pulling of the fire alarm, the vote has to be rescheduled, or the protest outside of a courthouse makes it inaccessible for a period of time. Are those all federal felonies subject to 20 years in prison?
With some of them, it would be necessary to show nexus. So with respect to the protest outside the courthouse, we have to show that, yes, they were aiming at the proceeding.
Yeah, they were trying to stop the proceeding.
Yes, and then we'd also have to be able to prove that they acted corruptly, and this sets a stringent mens rea. It's not even just the mere intent to obstruct. We have to show that also, but we have to show that they had corrupt intent in acting in that way.
We went around that tree yesterday.
I know. I heard the argument.
Yeah, and you can tell with Gorsuch, he's annoyed. So the Supreme Court, you don't get these rulings from the Supreme Court's decision is going to be in Trump's favor. We're going to get a lot of these J6ers, they're going to be let out of jail, and the charges are going to be tossed. Every step of the way with January 6th, Trump and the J6ers have been cleared and cleared and cleared yet again. The Justice Department cleared Trump. The FBI cleared Trump. Liz Cheney's committee cleared Trump. The Supreme Court's about to clear Trump. And, Democrats, they have an entire industry on disrupting government. In fact, remember when members of the Congressional Black Caucus a few years ago staged a sit-in on the floor of the House of Representatives during session and stopped a session? That was interrupting government business. And sitting members of Congress conspired to stopping government business that very day. Just last week, Muslim terrorist Hamas supporters stormed into the Senate and did the same thing. They're never charged. I mean, this list goes on and on forever and ever and ever. And this didn't get a lot of coverage yesterday because of the Trump trial, but you can, like in the last hearing, you can tell by the questions how it's going to go. And remember, we've got the majority. This is a conservative Trump Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court is going to clear Trump and the J6ers. This is really an amazing thing. Now, when that happens, don't expect the media and the Uniparty to say, oh, well, the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, has ruled, and these are not insurrectionists, and Trump is not an insurrectionist. They'll continue with that. And the history books are written by liberals, so the history books were recorded as something completely different than what the Supreme Court is about to rule, that it was not an insurrection and that it's over. All right, we'll take our first break of the third hour. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
If you're suffering from burning, tingling, or numb feet, you need to pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Corey Hennessy, DC, Innate Healthcare. Dr. Hennessy, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is actually nerve damage to the feet and legs.
And what are the symptoms?
The major symptoms of neuropathy are numbness, tingling, burning, muscle cramps, coldness in the hands and feet, and problems with balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It is treatable. We've seen some great results.
Call 954-633-7003 today to schedule your nerve damage screening. This screening will tell you if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe that there's nothing that can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. Call 954-633-7003. The first 25 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Space is limited. Call 954-633-7003.
Hello, this is Mike with Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
Look up in the sky, on a t-shirt, a hoodie, or a hat. It's the Print Hero. The Print Hero team is made up of expert designers and printers, each with their own unique superpowers. Help your company look great. Stand out with your unique lifestyle. The Print Hero has you covered. Let your business soar with Print Hero. Display your logo, love, lifestyle, or whatever you want the world to see on a t-shirt, hoodie, or hat. Best prices and fast turnaround time. Print Hero, a company that goes above and beyond to deliver top quality products and services to their clients. Learn more at theprinthero.com. Up and away.
Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to feel older. This is Brian Craig, and I want to tell you about my anti-aging doctor, Dr. Mitch Matez at the Biostation West El Rey, and hormone replacement pellet therapy. Hormone replacement pellet therapy is all natural. What it does is restore your hormones to where they were when you were in your 20s. You'll feel younger, you'll have more energy, you'll get your sex drive back, and women, hormone replacement pellet therapy completely stops and reverses all the signs and symptoms of menopause. Mood swings gone, night sweats gone. I've met listeners before and after hormone replacement pellet therapy with Dr. Matez, and when I first meet them, they're like Joe Biden, and no one wants to be like him. And then I meet them again after they began hormone replacement pellet therapy, and they have their energy back, just like Trump. They're standing up tall, and they feel years younger. Now, it's always a free consultation with Dr. Matez when you tell them you heard about him on the radio. 561-320-8893. 561-320-8893.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 90.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen.
Hey, yeah, I heard that news yesterday from the Supreme Court, but I also heard that those people that had already pleaded guilty and denied an appeal or agreed to not appeal were not going to be a part of that. I don't know if that will change it.
That's possible. It's possible. You know, it's, I mean, listen, when Fannie Willis is tossed in jail and her crimes are exposed, Jenna Ellis, she probably will still have that conviction because she broke.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hopefully, it doesn't work. Great news that's happening.
Well, the reason I share that is not just the questioning, but the tone of the justices tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Well, don't they all sound like that though? Don't they all sound like that? Serious and.
It wasn't that they were serious. It was they were annoyed at this. That lady's the Solicitor General. They were annoyed at this. And they view that, they view that what the government's doing as tyranny.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, they're seeing that what everything's been doing to Trump and all his appeals, it will run that same way, and I'm sure it will.
Yeah, it sure will.
One last thing. I hear they have a new whistleblower for the Boeing, and they're trying to discredit him. Anyways, does anybody think that the guy that committed suicide really committed suicide?
No, nobody believes that. No, nobody believes. The thing I don't know too much about why this is happening to Boeing. The only thing I know is that, first off, flying today sucks. When I went to Los Angeles a couple months ago, it was the first time. I don't fly that much. I'm afraid to fly. I don't like to fly. I've never liked flying. And after 9/11, I used to fly a lot before 9/11, and after 9/11, I really stopped flying a lot. And flying has gone down the tubes in the last couple of years. I mean, the next time I fly, if I can't get the bulkhead, I'm not flying. I could hardly walk when I got off the plane, there and back. You're so cramped in and everything. But regardless of all that, and these charges for everything, it's ridiculous what they, my goodness, But the thing about the airlines, the only thing that has changed about the airlines in the last few years from the decades before is this diversity, inclusion, equity thing, this DEI, which is a fancy affirmative action that they've applied to everything. That's the only thing that's changed.
Yeah, and I believe that is one of the things that that first guy was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and and the thing about by the way, appreciate the call, Joellen. And the thing about that, because affirmative action and everything, DEI is the new name for affirmative action. Okay, diversity, equity, inclusion. Everyone in this country, with some rare exceptions, are all about everybody has the same opportunity and everything. But you got to be the best at what it is you do. And when you're talking about airplanes, whether it's the pilots, the mechanics, or the people that put it together, you don't want people like Jean-Pierre where you check off boxes. You want the best of the best that do everything because, when you get on an airplane, you put your entire life into the hands of the people that fly it, maintain it, and built it. And you don't want somebody that just got that job because they checked off a box. And that one airline CEO who said that their number one goal is this DEI thing, as opposed to when it comes to pilots, as opposed to the best pilots. As terrified as I am of flying, and I'm not embarrassed to admit it, and I've flown on small aircraft, and they're worse than the big ones. Have you ever been on a single or a twin-engine aircraft? They, at those low levels, have turbulence like you have never experienced before. Okay, but. The thing about flying, I've always made it a rule to only, if at all possible, to fly on the major American airlines because chances are the pilots that you have on American airlines. This also applies like to El Al, and British Airways. There's some. If you fly on one of the major American airlines and you're on one of the big planes, not the small commuter jets, I'm talking about the big jets, it used to be I could have confidence that the pilots are military trained. And military, a cousin of mine who's since passed away is an Air Force, he went to the Air Force Academy, he's a fighter pilot, and when he retired from the Air Force, he became a airline pilot. And, and he told me some of the training that they go through. In the military, like he flew planes as large as your commercial jets where they would stall them out on purpose in the air and they have to regain control of the aircraft and such. So I've always had confidence that if I fly on an American airline, I'm on a major airline, chances are I have a military-trained pilot from the American military, okay? And that gave me a lot of confidence, that things are safe. And now we have this new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He just said it again this week that his main priority is to have a more inclusive and diverse group of pilots in the military. Well, I think we should have the best pilots in the military, not the first transgender, pilot, or the first black transgender pilot, or the first whatever, and so now I'm losing confidence in that because the military of today is not looking for the best fighter pilots. They're doing the check marks in the military now. I mean, if Saturday Night Live was a real show, they would do a Saturday Night Live skit with diversity, inclusion, equity, but they would do like a Top Gun spoof on that. It'd be hilarious, but they got a political agenda. So what I'm telling you is that affirmative action, which is what this DEI thing is with a different name, was bad enough when it involved school teachers and stuff like that. But now they're applying it to people that have jobs that you are putting your life and the life of your family in the hands of. And when they're bragging that they're not hiring the best, they're looking for the first transgendered, biracial, Asian, African American, not the best pilot, that's pretty scary. And that goes for the mechanics too. And if you get down to it, that's probably the problem at Boeing. They've got their priorities messed up, and that's fine. And I know the way they like to translate it is, well, that means Charlie Kirk said that when he doesn't want to fly with a black pilot. There was an episode of ER about 25 years ago. The main black doctor character, I can't remember the guy's name. He's been in a lot of TV shows. He found out that he got his job at the hospital through affirmative action. And it was a storyline that went on for an entire season. And he felt like he wasn't up to the job after that. Clarence Thomas, who we all love Clarence Thomas, right? Especially after yesterday. Clarence Thomas has said many times that his entire life he's had it in the back of his mind that people have thought he wasn't good enough because he just got the job because of affirmative action. Well, it's bad enough when it's a judge. A judge can render a bad opinion, but the chances are it's not going to kill you. If you've got that applied to a pilot and that plane, have any of you been in? I've been on two flights that have had problems. I had one flight where I flew from Tampa to Fort Lauderdale once, and one of the engines went out. And there was another incident when I was a kid. We landed in Fort Lauderdale. We were braking, and the pilot took back off. And he said there was some traffic on the runway, and he avoided it. When you're in and I'm sure there are people, don't call me with your airline problems, okay? I'm just give two examples to illustrate it. That plane, do you want those planes in those instances I was in, flown by the best pilot who got the job because of the best, or someone who's the first transgender thing and checked off a couple check boxes and may not be the best? I don't mind having a black pilot. That's stupid, yeah, of course. But if you get on a plane and you walk out, you get on the plane and you look in the cockpit and you see a cockpit full of women or minority, what do you think? What do you think? And it's not wrong to think what you think, because you're putting your life in the hands of those people. And this political correctness is crazy. Just say one last thing about it, then we'll break and I'll move on. But the flying imams is the textbook example. After 9/11, those imams in all their garb were waiting to board a plane and started praying in Arabic. People reported them because they thought they were hijackers, okay? And those imams sued the passengers that reported them, okay? The passengers got in trouble, So, no, these things are not good. Political correctness can get you killed. And if they ever got to the bottom of it, which they probably won't, these Boeing problems has something to do with this diversity inclusion thing, because they got their priorities at every single level wrong. All right, we'll take our break for the bottom of the hour and be back with your calls and much more after this.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Avenue, Scranton.
Turnpike north and south, slowdowns past Lake Worth Road at 95 northbound, stop and go from Forest Hill Boulevard to 45th Street. This traffic update is sponsored by True Green. True Green is the easiest and most affordable way to get a beautiful lawn. All you have to do is water and mow, and to top it off, when you sign up for an annual plan by April the 20th, you get one application free. Call or visit TrueGreen.com today. Restrictions apply. That's traffic. I'm Dory Don.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. It's showtime. Not a restaurant at PBKC.
is that story?
Suppliers, and that spells bad news for the homeowner or HOA. Tom Laporta is honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Contracting has been in the roofing and contracting business since 1988, and his services cover the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. Tom Laporta can handle any type of roofing job too: residential roofing and repair, commercial roofs, schools, municipal buildings, office buildings, emergency repairs. If it's roofing, Tom Laporta can do it. Call Tom Laporta right now on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, LaportaContracting.com.
We can always go on the next one, T-Dot. It is amazing. It was JetBlue I flew on, T-Dot. And it sucked. It was the first time I flew on JetBlue. I hated it. My daughter loves JetBlue. But I hated it. All right. All right, welcome back, everyone. Our number 1-888-465-2631. Now, there's something that very well may be happening soon that I've been waiting for years, and that is Julian Assange being extradited to the United States. And, you know, Julian Assange, a lot of people don't understand. You don't hear about WikiLeaks anymore. He's not a computer hacker. He's a journalist. He should not be in jail. The United States, he's up on death penalty charges in the United States, and the United States just agreed to take death penalty off the table to get him extradited from the UK. He did not commit espionage, and he is not a computer hacker. He is a journalist. Now, Chelsea Manning, I forgot what Chelsea Manning's real name was before the transition, but Chelsea Manning was in the military and gave classified information to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. But in the United States, journalists get classified information all the time from sources, and they get Pulitzer Prizes for it. The most famous one's the Pentagon Papers and the Washington Post. They've even made movies about it. It's not a crime for a journalist to receive classified information. Okay? If you give classified information to a journalist, you've committed espionage, but not the journalist. And the reason that Julian Assange has been in prison all these years, I miss the days when he was held up in the embassy. Remember that? He'd come out and wave, and Pamela Anderson would come by every once in a while and hook up with Julian Assange and all this stuff. And one of our listeners, Neil in the UK, he used to go over there sometimes and take pictures outside of Julian Assange's window in London. But anyway, regardless of this, the reason that he is in prison and they'll never let him out of prison, I hope Trump pardons Julian Assange when he's back here, is because he embarrasses the rest of the media. And there's a movie about him you should watch. It's called The Fifth Estate. Benedict Cumberbatch plays Julian Assange. If you watch that movie, you'll understand that Julian Assange is not a hacker. He did not commit espionage. He's a journalist, and he embarrasses the media, just like James O'Keefe. He's just like James O'Keefe in a little bit different way. But look, they put James O'Keefe, they got him arrested. They don't like journalists, real journalists, because the rest of the media are what, right? Hacks and propagandists for the government and the deep state. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Sure.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian, how are you today?
All right.
You're talking about the affirmative action, and I'm not sure people realize the multiplier effect that affirmative action has had on our great country. It's affected literally every single corporation, every industry, military, everything. And it's the damage it's done to this country. I think this may be incalculable. We have people in positions now of responsibility in every facet of our nation who really don't belong there. They're just there because of...
When I was in college, okay, I went, I graduated from Florida Atlantic University. But I went to Broward Community College first. They call it Broward College now. I had a professor there at Broward College who was one of the most brilliant professors I ever had in all my college years, and he got removed and replaced with a woman who's black who could hardly speak English, and she was teaching American history, and it was affirmative action. And I actually wrote a letter to the school to try to save the professor's job, and it didn't work. But it was But it's one thing when it's school teachers. You're not putting your life in the hand of a school teacher or a mailman.
Scale, it's on where decisions are made, how corporate is going to be led, or military is going to be. It literally permeates every facet of our.
Well, and I'll tell you how they bring. When my daughter was a senior in high school and she started doing the college applications and stuff, I told her, because my daughter's biracial, so I told her, I said, make sure on every application for race you check black. And she said, why? And I said, because they have affirmative action. Her SAT scores, she qualified for the Ivy Leagues, okay? She had very good SAT scores and all that stuff. But I said, with affirmative action, you'll go higher to the stack than if you put something else, okay? And she said to me, because this is the crap she learned in school, she said, I thought that if you check black, that works against you. And I said, no, it's just the opposite. Throughout your entire life, always check black. Don't put other or put black. Always. Always.
It's like I'm a white Christian male, and I was literally told when I graduated from University of Miami that people who own businesses, I'm sorry, Bob, we can't hire you. And I said, what's this all about? He said, did you see the law that came out?
Yeah.
I mean, I literally hit a brick wall. And so have a lot of other people who are very deserving people who have really been put to the side and add to the productivity of our great nation and corporation and business.
Well, I'll say this, about affirmative action. There was a time, when maybe it was appropriate because, everybody in every position was white. We are so far beyond that. When it was the University of Michigan that challenged affirmative action in college admissions, really first in a high-profile Supreme Court case, and what they found is that those who benefited from affirmative action in regards to college admissions were not poor black kids, they were rich black kids, upper-class white kids, or black kids, that were getting into the schools on affirmative action, not lower income. And, and that was one of the things that they used to end affirmative action. The time for it is over, is what I'm saying. We're beyond that phase now.
The problem is that a lot of generations of Americans didn't get into med school, didn't get into law school because of affirmative action.
I saw this video a few months ago online of these. I don't remember if they were Navy pilots or Air Force pilots, but there was a squadron of all women doing something for the military, and they made this whole video, and they just thought it was a big deal that they got 10 women flying these planes. It's no big deal that women or blacks or gays are flying planes. It's no big deal anymore, guys. I mean, come on. If anything, it's non-minorities that are being discriminated against, and it's sad, but it's true.
It's hurt us. It really has. I mean, we wonder why we have problems when we go to order something to eat or something like that. I mean, it's just...
well, yeah.
Yeah, it's never... And now you could put it to the production line of Boeing.
Could you... It's the only thing that's changed. And, you know, I'll tell you, I mean, think about it as an employer. What would you want to fire someone who was black?
You'd have. I mean, no, you just don't want to be bothered. It's too much of a hassle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hassle with the government and everything.
Do you know, I used to, a long time ago, I had a very, very, very low-level management position at a radio station, and I had to fire someone. And I couldn't believe, there was a board op who, I was like the senior board op. They called me the operations man. They gave me a famous title. I was the operations manager, right? Yeah, the operations manager. And basically, anytime something went bad at the radio station at 1 a.m, I was the person they called. And there was a girl who was a board op, and this happened on 2 occasions. She's on the air. Well, she's running the board. It was 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. The station's off the air, right? You know, she calls me, you know, and I walk her through. She doesn't do anything. You know, and I go to the radio station, and they were off the air because she didn't turn the microphone on.
Gosh.
And that happened. I'm not exaggerating. She did not. It was just the on button on the microphone. That happened several times, and it always was at 2. So I said it was with different things that were equally as minor. But the time I went, the microphone button was on. I couldn't believe it, and I ended up sleeping in the lobby because I had to be back at 6, and it was like 2:30 in the morning. Third, fourth time something similar to that happened, I said, "You got to fire her. We got to fire her." I mean, I'm getting woken up at 1 a.m. They said, "You can't fire her. She's a woman." I mean, you know, she was white. I'm like, are you kidding?
Dead air at the radio station, that doesn't go over too well, you know.
Oh my gosh! If me and Mike did that, we'd be gone. You know, if could you imagine if someone from management had to come here at 1:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, and things happen. Okay, there's always technical problems. But it happens repeatedly when something as simple as not having the microphone button on. You can't fire her. She's a woman. She'll cry sexism, Brian. I'm like, are you kidding? Can't you get a woman to fire her? Can't you get a woman to fire her? You know?
I think you have to.
Yeah. But what that results in is that people don't hire women, blacks, or other minorities because they're afraid of what would happen if something went wrong. So they don't hire people. You understand? It
causes problems all around, and it's permeated our entire nation, and the effects it was supposed to have, I don't think that it's had, and the negative effects have overwhelmed the positive effects from it, which is a shame.
That's right. All right, Brian, I appreciate the call. Listen, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our break and be back with the Gold Report.
A cold, hard truth delivered.
All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals look today?
Metals looking very firm for the most part. Yesterday we saw an interesting trading day, gold trading in a range of $2,362 all the way up to the $2,398. Resistance still coming in and selling coming in around that $2,400 number, pressing it down to $23.8220 on the close, which was still up just 20 cents. Silver lost 75 cents yesterday, closing at $28.05. Seems to be good support at $28 and resistance at $29. Platinum was down $13 at $956, and palladium lost $19 at $9.99. Gold this morning trading overnight in a range of $2,372, back up to $2,395, and currently at $2,380.50. That's down $1.70 from yesterday. Silver up 35 cents right now at $28.40 the ounce. Platinum down $11 at $9.45, and palladium up $3 at $1,002. So the market's very stable at these very high numbers.
Oh, yeah. Now, let me ask you, I always ask you what the best buys of the metals are. And when I ask William Youngerman that, I mean, what do you recommend where I get the most gold, most silver for my money? Are we still seeing the premiums low, or are they starting to inch up on some certain things that people might want to start to snag up before they get high?
Yeah, the premiums on the Silver Eagles are starting to go up again. They were back down to pretty much normal rates up until this week, and now they are edging up, and we could see Silver Eagle prices go up another couple of dollar premium.
So if you're a Silver Eagle guy, you want to come in now, and you want to start loading up on your Eagles. Yeah, and Silver Eagles are they're the most in-demand silver coin. They're very popular. People love them. Yeah. Okay, so listen, William Youngman opens up at 10 a.m. His number, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. His website is williamyoungerman.com, or you can just stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, back after this. All right, and here we are, the middle of the week, hump day, which means you get over the hump of the week, and we're towards the end of the week starting tomorrow. And if you want to have a pain-free weekend and you're suffering, go see Dr. Appleton. He's my chiropractor. He wants to be your chiropractor too. Talk to him about his laser away pain treatment. It works. It's 100% painless. There's no downtime, no injections, no surgery, and it works. He's rid me of pain 5 times. The pain has not returned any of those 5 times. It's amazing. The one I thought was my shoulder. I was in so much pain in my shoulder, I thought I was going to have permanent damage. In fact, I told Dr. Appleton when I went in there, I was almost in tears that day, and I told him, I said, I know I'm going to have to go to the orthopedic surgeon, but I need to try, I'm in so much pain. By the time I left his office after that first treatment, I was already feeling better. I went in for a follow-up. The pain's gone. It has not returned. And that was, and it was my right shoulder. I thought I was going to be in trouble for the rest of my life with that shoulder pain, and it's gone. Thank you to Dr. Appleton. And Dr. Appleton, if you're listening, I'm sorry I haven't seen you in a while, but I haven't been in pain. And next time I hurt myself or do something or fall off a ladder or something, I'll see you. But go see him. And remember, appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. Dr. Appleton's number is 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Chris from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Chris.
Great show. I just wanted to comment on a couple of things. Obviously, Julian Assange, and a little bit about the affirmative action. But you know what? For your Democrats out there, by the way, I hate when they refer to Democrats as being Democratic Party.
Yeah, they're the opposite.
Not Democratic. They're not Democratic.
Yeah.
But Julian Assange is a perfect example. There goes your democracy. That silence you if you're not on the same page as they are, and that's what that is all about. The journalism, the truth. It's a broken record, and that's all I have to do is look at examples like that. And just because it's not them right now, they've chosen the same side, so right, wrong, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay. No, it'll happen to you sooner or later.
Oh yeah, yeah. Julian Assange. They should name journalistic awards after him.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then as far as affirmative action, you may remember this. I know it's going back some years. Time's flying. But there were 2, right here in Broward County, 2 tenured. I mean, you're talking about even. They probably flipped a coin when they decided to let one go because of budgets. They both have master's degrees. They both have teams. They had to let one go. And guess what they picked? There were 2 women. And then, the African-American had, they asked her to step down. She screamed, hollered, cried. They gave her a job back, so then they let the other one.
Yeah.
The other woman was in tears. Was like, had that been me, had I was on the receiving end of that, I would have had to step down and move on. Because they were both near retirement age, so I guess.
But you see it in other ways. When we talk about these things, we think of black people, transgender lately. But I'll give you one example of where like this inclusion idea has gotten people killed in the police force. Police, there used to be requirements for police that don't exist anymore that involved height and size. Same thing with fire department, firefighters. And they did away with that. And one of the biggest, I mentioned this because I met you. You got our back at the flea market. You're a retired police officer. You're a big guy. And one of the biggest things that deterred crime and deterred incidents on the side of the street from escalating is a police officer's a big guy. And now you got these little guys that are cops. No one's afraid of them. They know or a woman. They can kick their butt. And they're not afraid of the cops because they know they can take them. Somebody like you pull somebody over, they know they can't take you. At least not easily.
Absolutely, 100%. It's funny, that's a quick story. My brother was in the Army, like most of my family. He came to visit me once at Camp Pendleton in the Marine Corps, and 95% of us were like 5'10" or taller. And he says, wow, you guys are all so huge. Now, he was 6'3" himself.
Yeah.
But he didn't believe how huge all the Marines were.
But there are firefighters and police officers that are like 5'4" now. And I'm sorry, if you're 5'4" and you pull over a guy who's he's got a warrant and he's going to go away for 5 years or something, he's going to make a move.
That's true. Hey, listen, image is everything, and you're right. There's one thing to be inclusive, but then everyone still you have to have the same criteria. You know what I mean? I mean, when it comes down to giving someone a job, if they're all qualified, fine, then make your decision.
Well, see, that's why I use the height thing to take it away from those, the transgender, the gay or the black. This liberal ideology gets people killed. These liberal, and another way that it's, the emission standards that liberals like Obama and Biden have forced on auto manufacturers gets people killed every day, because what they do is they don't make the cars out of metal anymore. They're made out of plastic, so the cars don't protect the passengers as much in an accident. People get killed. All these liberal things get people killed all the time in car accidents, plane crashes, police incidents like we're talking about. Liberalism, it's like communism. It sounds good on paper, but when you're actually living it, it gets people killed all the time.
The worst part is they know it.
Yeah, that's right. But, hey, appreciate the call. Good to hear from you. All right, take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, good morning. All the evangelicals out there to know that Donald Trump's wife had, what's a Baron or whatever, 4 months old, and he cheated on his wife. 4 months old. Does that sound like a Christian?
Well, in fact, it does, because, excuse me, it actually does sound like a Christian, because all of us, and Christians understand, we are all sinners.
Oh, so he did sleep with Stormy?
No, I didn't say that. In fact, Stormy Daniels said that she did not have sex with Donald Trump. Even Stormy Daniels has said that. It's not me. I'm not saying that he didn't have sex with Stormy. Stormy Daniels said she did not have sex with Donald Trump.
It's not the size of the policeman that matters. Okay, it's the respect for law that has been eroded away. It has nothing to do with the size of a cop. Okay.
Sure, it does.
His belt thinks, I'm going to try this guy because
if you ever have been to a club with bouncers, they don't have little guys as bouncers. They have big guys as bouncers because the size deters people.
You know what I mean? So don't go there, and say that all these other short, small police officers, they have to go through the physical requirements. It's called
they've lessened the requirements. There used to be They have lowered it for radio people. Haven't you heard these no talents that replaced Rush? They definitely have. I should be doing that show, not Clay Aiken and Buck Sexton.
What a humanitarian.
Oh, he gave a lot of money to charities all the time.
He did, yeah. The ones, probably Christian nationalist charities.
Oh, you didn't like Rush either? No. Well, listen.
It's not that you don't like the guy. It's his point of view.
Really? What was Rush? What did Rush Limbaugh spew out that you didn't like?
Oh God! You know what?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, you shouldn't make statements that you can't back up. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Terry from Florida.
Oh, the worst caller. Yes. Go ahead.
It's above the law. No man. Trump is not above the law. Okay.
Well, he hasn't broken it.
He has broken the law, man, over and over.
Really? What law has he broken?
Man, he's been sleeping with women.
Sleeping with women that you're not married to is not against the law. And I'm saying Trump did that. Having sex, committing adultery is not a crime. Excuse me. Adultery is not a crime.
Those people.
All right, appreciate the call. All right, I just told him he was the worst call in the history of South Florida radio, and he calls back the next day. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, glad to get the last call in, hopefully, but those two last callers are ridiculous.
I know. Pathetic.
The state of New York is changing laws so they can charge Trump. They had to open time frames for people to come back with old charges, get E. Jean Carroll's case.
Exactly.
These people are crazy. They're just haters, and they've always hated Trump. They've hated conservatism, but they're lost. They don't even realize.
That's right. That's true. All right. That's true. All right. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Helen from Massachusetts.
Hey, Helen. What's on your mind?
Hi. I'm just going to comment about Julian Assange. I remember President Trump first ran his first term, and Julian Assange was asked how come he doesn't have dirt on Trump. And Julian Assange said, because there is no dirt on.
I love it. Yes, that's a good one. All right, appreciate the call. Last call of the day, and certainly a great way to end the show. All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Celebrating 47 years on the radio. Great calls today by pretty much everyone. The last couple over there weren't too great, but the rest of the show and at the tail end were great. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
WSFS 104.3.
All right, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And everyone who's already subbed, like the video. All right? I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.